Hey guys, I wanted to talk a little bit more about some things that happened at Comic-Con 2025 this year. Specifically, I wanted to highlight my experience surrounding Patrick Nagel. So it was a great show for a number of reasons, but one of my favorite experiences was making a new friend. So let me share my screen and show you what I'm talking about. So this is an example of Patrick Nagel's artwork. He was really big in the 80s, had glamour illustration plastered all over the place. He became very popular, and in my mind, he kind of set the tone for the 80s. He for that pop art style. A lot of people have mimicked him over the years, including myself. He inspired a generation of artists with his line art and his design style, and it's very unique and encapsulates kind of that pop art 80s style. Well, unfortunately, Patrick Nagel passed away in the 80s, and he wasn't able to continue on into the future to see where his artwork would go. So to me, he's kind of like a little bit of a time capsule. This is my style based on Patrick Nagel's work. I love playing around with the shapes and the lines and simplifying the colors. And of course, picking subjects like Princess Leia to draw. Those are some of my favorites. I love doing portraits, and Patrick Nagel's version and way of working with a portrait is something I really admire. And so I strive to do things like that. But what's really fun at Comic-Con this year is along came Kurt Nagel and his family. This is the nephew of Patrick Nagel, and just out of the blue, he came up to me at the show and said, "Hey, um, I'm Patrick Nagel's nephew." And I said, "What?" And we had a good conversation about his family and a little bit about Patrick and his admiration for the artwork as well. And we had a nice little chance to get to know each other. And he told me in our conversation that he even had some original drawings that Patrick Nagel had made. And so I asked him if he'd send me some pictures. And so these are the pictures that he sent me of the drawings that he had. So it's important to understand in the process of Patrick Nagel creating his artwork, he would do these pencil sketches first. And it was very important with those pencil sketches to figure out the shape and the line. And you see how simple it is. No shading, it's just outline. And by focusing on those lines, he really, you know, in my mind, kind of elevated the art into that pop style where he was dealing with shapes. What's also interesting is that really benefited the printing process because to be able to print these back in the 80s, you had to actually make stencils. And those stencils were many times cut out with X-Acto knives. And so having a very deliberate line to trace and to follow with your X-Acto knife really helped make those stencils that were part of that printing process. And so I can just see why his art progressed this way and why he really kind of honed it down to the essential shape and gesture and beauty of the portrait. And so it's really cool. So I saw these drawings and I spent some time kind of researching, trying to find what they turned into. And the only one I could find was this one. So this sketch turned into this print on the side. And you can see the evidence of the initial outline, the very thin line that's shown, and then where he figured out, for example, the contour of her hair, where he was going to put those highlights and how those were going to interact with the strands of hair that were going down along her forehead or down across her ear. What I don't see is maybe the shadows. And so those were added later in the printing process, of course. But it's really cool to see how specific and deliberate every piece and part of that drawing, turned into that final print. And I think we lose some of that today in digital artwork. And it's one of the reasons why whenever I start something, I always work from a sketch. It's important to me to draw and figure out what's going to happen before I do, the final print or the final vector or whatever I'm going to do with it. But I just eat this up. This is, candy to me to look at these drawings and to see how his process developed. And so, what a cool happenstance that Kurt and his family would be at Comic-Con, that we'd run into each other and I get to know him and hear more firsthand from uh, his uncle's process. And I'm proud to kind of carry on the legacy with my own artwork and develop it in a way that, in my mind, pays homage to him, but also kind of elevates the style into what I like to do. So, hope you've enjoyed that little tidbit of information. It was exciting for me to share that with the Nagel family, and I'll see you around soon.